So I have been here at Penn State University for 18 years, and I have the opportunity to teach our courses in communication and sciences and disorders, but with my focus in deaf culture, as well as our American Sign Language courses here at Penn State. And I also have the opportunity to be the advisor for the Penn State Sign Language organization. So my experience with deaf culture started whenever I was a college student. I took these same classes because I was an undergrad student here at Penn State, and I had the opportunity to meet deaf and hard of hearing individuals during my time of taking my coursework. And then I continued to pursue my degree at the graduate level in deaf education, where I again had the opportunity to work with deaf professors, as well as begin to meet deaf individuals in the Pittsburgh area, where they were very much key in my beginning steps into learning about the community and the culture. Since then, I have been lucky enough to have many wonderful friends who are in and a part of the deaf community and the deaf culture, share their experiences with me, and also have the opportunity to observe both adults and students who are deaf and hard of hearing in a variety of different settings over the years. So when we look at deafness as a culture, we look at it as a difference versus a disability. Deafness as a difference, meaning that a deaf individual has deaf gain. They benefit from a different approach to our day in, day out world. It's a visual approach. It's an approach and a community that has history. There is a common language, which is American Sign Language. There are traditions. There are certain ways in which activities and things are done, attention-getting strategies, along with environmental pieces, like how you set up an environment for good communication. All of these are attached to the identity of being and identifying as a deaf person, which allows for this to be a minority linguistic language culture here that lives within our greater hearing culture. Penn State students can advocate for deaf individuals in the deaf community by becoming knowledgeable, by experiencing, again, the approach of deafness as a difference versus deafness as a disability. And in that approach, and as a student has the opportunity to become more knowledgeable, interact with individuals who are deaf and hard of hearing, let deaf and hard of hearing people speak for themselves, and support the direction in which they want to go. Help them to not only find their voice, but then support their advocacy and their goals that they set forth as a community and as a group of people. Being here at Penn State, we are, kind of in the middle of nowhere in central Pennsylvania, and we do not have a very large deaf community in our area, both here at Penn State or in our local State College area. And that is a challenge, and a challenge that we are continually facing over and over again. I think some things that are top on the list as far as allowing our campus and our university to be more deaf friendly is recognizing the need for qualified interpreters and have those qualified interpreters available, so that when we have a visitor coming to Penn State or a student who is interested in becoming a Penn State student who uses an ASL interpreter, we have qualified people who are ready to provide that support in meetings, in campus tours, in the classroom. I think another big one is advocating for and supporting captioning on all of our Penn State materials, which would allow for Penn State to be, again, more not only deaf and hard of hearing friendly, but many individuals benefit from high quality captioning on the materials that we utilize as advertising or recruitment materials, or just informative materials for things. I think also that the support of American Sign Language and a growth of American Sign Language on campus would also be a larger benefit for the deaf community, coming into and being around individuals who as a hearing person learning to communicate with a deaf person by me shouldering the responsibility of knowing a language versus assuming that a deaf individual can communicate in my language. Making my efforts to me being the one to accommodate versus them being the one to accommodate me. Well, so American Sign Language is deemed the fourth most learned language in the United States at this point. So it is accepted and learned as meeting world language requirements in high schools and other colleges and universities across the United States. And this has been a recognition that has continued to grow over the years. This isn't, something that has just poofed happened in a second. It has been time and education that has allowed for this to continue to rise. And it is actually one of the top 3 languages within the last 6 years that has grown at the college level for education. And with our world languages and the options and the availability of world language teaching at the college level decreasing right now, we're seeing a trend. There's some research out there that supports that. ASL is one of those languages we actually have seen an increase. And so I think Penn State has an opportunity to continue to be a leader, as it is in many, many other ways, if we were to choose to go down the path of utilizing and supporting ASL as meeting those world language requirements. All of that being said, there are challenges in our way, right? We have our hurdles, the aspects that I have mentioned as far as that we are growing now as a attempt to be a more deaf-friendly area and more deaf-friendly environment here at Penn State and our larger community. We do not have the expertise within the ASL language and within the deaf culture and the deaf community here that we can say, okay, we've got something we can tap into. We need to do something to bring in those experts, those native users of the language, the people who are part of that deaf community and deaf culture to help guide and grow this language here at Penn State. And so that's a challenge in itself that circles back to many of those other things that we kind of just talked about. I'm very grateful for all of the years that I've been able to participate and welcomed into the deaf community and deaf cultures. I have had the opportunity to explore it in a variety of different ways and make wonderful friends. And I always would encourage anyone who is interested to reach out to those communities and those individuals and learn from them and be a part of what they have to offer, because it's pretty cool.